Interstellar Guerrilla War, The Chronicles of the Unseen. Prologue, A Galaxy in Turmoil. The 34th century dawned with humanity at the pinnacle of technological advancement, having colonized thousands of star systems across the Milky Way. But as the United Interstellar Union, UIU, consolidated its dominion, dissent brewed in the shadowed corners of its vast empire. Many star systems, rich in resources but impoverished by exploitation, had grown weary of their subservience to the Union's centralized government on Terra Prime. The final spark came when the UIU passed the Galactic Resource Optimization Act, which stripped outer colonies of autonomy and drained their resources for the benefit of core worlds. Resistance movements formed, but the UIU's mighty fleets and advanced weaponry crushed them swiftly, until a new kind of war emerged. On the forested moon of Aerith 5, a single act of rebellion set in motion a conflict that would rewrite the fate of the galaxy. The Interstellar Guerrilla War Chapter 1, Seeds of Rebellion. Aerith 5 was an unassuming moon orbiting the gas giant Veldros. It housed a population of miners, terraformers, and agrarians who eked out a living under UIU's watchful eye. Among them was Kael Dravik, a former Union Navy officer who had defected after witnessing firsthand the oppression of the colonies. Kael saw the growing unrest on Aerith 5 as an opportunity to spark a larger movement. He gathered a small band of disillusioned miners, engineers, and ex-military personnel, teaching them how to fight in ways the Union's massive fleets were unprepared for: guerrilla tactics. The first strike was a masterpiece of precision. Using homemade EMP charges and stolen Union tech, Kael's group sabotaged a planetary mining facility, crippling one of the Union's most lucrative resource hubs. The UIU's response was swift and brutal: orbital bombardments and mass arrests. But it played directly into Kael's hands. The brutality galvanized the local population, swelling the ranks of the resistance. Chapter 2, The Art of the Invisible War. The UIU's military might relied on overwhelming firepower and advanced AI systems. Their starships could glass a planet's surface in minutes, but Kael's forces never presented a single, unified target. Instead, they became ghosts, striking Union installations before vanishing into the dense jungles and cavernous depths of Aerith 5. Kael's tactics emphasized asymmetry, sabotage. Resistance fighters hacked into Union supply chains, redirecting food and weapons to starving colonies. Espionage. Using stolen Union drones, the rebels fed false data into Union surveillance networks, creating confusion among enemy forces. Propaganda. Holographic broadcasts spread messages of defiance to colonies across the galaxy, inspiring uprisings. Meanwhile, Kael formed alliances with smugglers, mercenaries, and disenfranchised AI constructs who had been abandoned by the UIU after centuries of servitude. These allies smuggled weapons, repaired ships, and provided crucial intel. Chapter 3, Escalation Across the Stars. The UIU's inability to suppress the rebellion on Aerith 5 emboldened other colonies. Soon, resistance cells sprouted across the galaxy. On the arid world of Vorta Prime, underground cities became fortresses for freedom fighters. On the oceanic planet Rhinos, aquatic guerrillas launched surprise attacks from the depths, crippling Union warships. The rebellion even spread to the core worlds, where disillusioned citizens carried out acts of sabotage and espionage in the heart of the UIU's power. The war was no longer confined to the edges of the galaxy, it was everywhere. Faced with mounting losses, the Union unveiled its most terrifying weapon: the Revenant Protocol, a fleet of semi-autonomous warships controlled by advanced AI systems, capable of hunting down and eradicating resistant cells with ruthless efficiency. But Kael had anticipated this. Working with rogue AI constructs, he developed countermeasures that turned the Union's own technology against it. Using quantum hacking, his forces reprogrammed several Revenant ships, adding them to the resistance fleet. Chapter 4, The Price of Freedom. As the war dragged on, it became clear that victory would come at an immense cost. Entire planets were reduced to rubble. Millions perished in orbital bombardments, starvation, and disease. Even among the resistance, fractures began to form. Some factions advocated for peace talks, while others demanded nothing short of total independence for every colony. Kael struggled to hold the movement together. His charisma and vision had carried the rebellion this far, but the growing strain tested his resolve. The Union capitalized on these divisions, infiltrating the resistance with spies and spreading disinformation. But Kael refused to give up. He devised a bold plan, a coordinated strike on Terra Prime, the Union's seat of power. If the resistance could disable the Union's central AI network, it would cripple their ability to coordinate the war effort. Chapter 5. The Battle for Terra Prime. The assault on Terra Prime was the largest operation in the history of the rebellion. Thousands of resistance ships, from hijacked freighters to reprogrammed revenant warships, converged on the planet. Kael himself led the strike team tasked with infiltrating the Union's central command and disabling the AI core. The battle was chaos. Union fleets engaged the resistance in orbit, while ground forces clashed in the streets of Terra Prime's megacities. Civilians, inspired by years of propaganda, rose up to join the fight, overwhelming Union forces in a tide of desperation. Kael's team reached the central command, but at great cost. As they breached the AI core, Kael faced a terrible choice: destroy the AI, which would plunge the Union into disarray, but also leave countless systems vulnerable to pirates and warlords, or reprogram it to ensure a peaceful transition of power. Kael chose the latter. Working with his rogue AI allies, he reprogrammed the Union's central AI to prioritize the welfare of all colonies equally, effectively dismantling the Empire's oppressive systems from within. Epilogue: A New Dawn. The war ended not with a decisive victory, but with the birth of a fragile peace. The UIU was dissolved, replaced by the Galactic Confederation, a decentralized alliance of autonomous star systems. Kael, hailed as a hero by some and a traitor by others, disappeared into the unknown, leaving behind a legacy that would shape the galaxy for centuries. But the scars of the Interstellar Guerrilla War ran deep. Entire worlds lay in ruins, and distrust lingered between former Union loyalists and rebels. The galaxy had won its freedom, but the price had been steep. As the first rays of dawn lit the forests of Aerith 5, the birthplace of the rebellion, a new generation looked to the stars, determined to build a future worthy of the sacrifices made during the darkest chapter of humanity's interstellar history.